Well, welcome to the 2016 CARE Conference. It's great to see you all here. In fact, I'll tell you a short story which will underscore the fact that it's great to see you all here. Yesterday morning, I woke in a cold sweat, wondering what I was going to do tomorrow. That is the second day of the conference. Because I just had a dream. There were 10 people in this dream. 2 of them I recognised. I don't know why I recognised these 2 people, but it was Elaine Harwood and Paul Healy. And all of these people were looking pretty grumpy, really grumpy. And one woman who I didn't recognise walked out of the room saying, "I didn't learn a thing all day." And so I was thinking, what am I going to do about tomorrow? But anyway, I woke up and I arrived here last night and all of the speakers were here and that was wonderful. And Laurie was here. And of course, Laurie said everything's fine. Everything was fine because of Laurie. So we all need to thank Laurie, and this will be a good time. So welcome everyone, welcome the speakers in particular. I hope we have a wonderful couple of days. I want to speak very briefly about what CARE's about, because some of you know what CARE's about well, others don't, and others have asked, what is this identity called CARE? Well, it's an organisation at Notre Dame, Centre for Accounting Research and Education, and we have the goal of bringing practice and academia together. That's the key goal. And the way that we do that primarily is via these conferences. This is the 10th conference that we've run, so it's a milestone in some way. In fact, some of you remember there were 2 before CARE really began, one at USC and one at Ohio State University. So it's really the 12th. In all of those conferences, we've chosen a topic that is of interest to academics at the time and one where we feel as if we can get some serious feedback from people in practice. And the feedback comes in 2 forms. We get indicators of interesting ideas, so this prompts people's research. But second, we provide information to the practitioners about what we do. And that, if you like, keeps us honest. Because sometimes it's not easy to describe to a practitioner what we're doing, perhaps because it's not relevant. So this is our goal. This conference started 2 years ago. We started developing this conference 2 years ago. And I want to recognise the people that were responsible for that. Some of them are in the room, some are not. So originally this was Cindy Durchee's idea. Thank you, Cindy. And then it developed as we talked to other people. And I want to acknowledge all of the people who were key in setting up this conference. And I've got a list to make sure I don't forget anybody. Adair Morse is not here. She's from UC Berkeley, but the people from Berkeley, please pass our thanks to her. She was very instrumental in helping us identify people who would fit together to make a good conference. Joseph Garakis is here, not on the panel, but thank you, Joseph. I don't see you right now. Maybe he's still exercising. Dan Ameren, who you'll meet this afternoon. Craig Lewis, who was very instrumental, and you'll see during the day today all of the things that he was the key organiser for. Eugene Soltis from Harvard, Elaine Harwood from Cornerstone, Richard Hahn from Booth, and Zan Bazanik, who is also not here, and Dan will talk about Zan shortly. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce Craig Lewis, and first to thank Craig Lewis for all that he has done to make this conference what it's going to be. Craig is currently Professor of Finance and Law at Vanderbilt University. He's had extensive experience with the regulators and most recently was Chief Economist at the SEC. So clearly he has a lot of contacts to help us understand the role of regulators in fraud, the concerns that regulators have in fraud, etc., which will be the second topic. Also, he is the person who was responsible for this SEC developing its prediction model casually known as RoboCop. And so clearly he has a lot of expertise and interest in setting up prediction models, and therefore he was the architect of the third panel today. So Craig, without taking any more time, thanks, and it's over to you.
Thank you, Peter. My task this morning is twofold. I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker, David Woodcock, and then immediately after that, I'll invite the panelists down and we'll begin our panel on the regulator. So David is currently a partner at Jones Day, and he works out of the Dallas and Washington offices. Prior to that, I first met David when he was the regional director of the SEC's Fort Worth office, Dallas-Fort Worth office, in which if you think about the SEC, while its headquarters are actually located in Washington, it has regional offices all across the countries and all the major metropolitan areas. And to a certain extent, rulemaking takes place out of the DC office, but most of the real enforcement and examination activities, I think, occur in the regions. And so David ran that. Where I first met David was at an annual event that the SEC holds called SEC Speaks. And every division at the SEC gets up and does what you'd call a little dog and pony show, explaining exactly what they're doing and what they've been about over the past year. And one of the things that I spoke about when our division had a chance to get up and talk was sort of our efforts with developing what we called the accounting quality model. And David came up after that and sort of approached me and seemed genuinely interested in what we were doing, and so we had a nice conversation. Later on, David went on to be the head of the SEC's Accounting Fraud Task Force. So I think it's particularly interesting to have David speak about that. In addition to doing these things at the SEC, David was a litigation partner at a large international law firm. But before that, David is also one of us. He's a former CPA. He's was a certified management accountant, among some other things, and has actually worked for a number of the large public accounting firms. So David, without further ado, please come down and look forward to your comments.